Reading book on pausing and money. Written by me, Eric Wadell. First draft, November 2025. Chapter 2. What is money? We pause and contemplate the nature of money. We pause and see if we can find some initial criteria for what money seems to be. Quantifying what is abstract into money. In this world, there are many things. There are natural things and there are man-made things. And often, but not always, things are quantifiable. We can count them and accumulate them. Say that you have an apple. It is clear to you what you have, an apple. You can hold it in your hands and experience it with your senses. An apple is both natural and quantifiable. Say then that you also have a car. It is again clear to you what you have, a car. You can both drive it and park it. It is man-made, but also quantifiable. Now, say that you also have 1 unit of money. What is it that you really have? If I ask you to picture 1 unit of money, it will be no easy task. You cannot experience it with your senses as easily as you could with the apple or the car. Say that you have 10 apples. It is again easy to picture yourself having a basket full of apples. Say that you have 10 cars. Again, it is easy to picture yourself having a large garage full of cars. But then, say that you have 10 units of money. It is difficult to really see what it is you have. It is difficult to see how having 10 units of money would be any different from having a single unit of money. Money is quantifiable, like the natural apples and the man-made cars, but it is different from them in that it is abstract. We cannot clearly see what money is in and of itself. We must first translate money into something else before we can get an intuitive grasp of its value and function to us. The apples and the cars are direct in their function to us, but the money is not. We pause and find as our first criteria for what money is that money is how we quantify what is abstract. Money is how we quantify what is complex or ambiguous. Money is how we quantify our debate in itself or our differences in perspective in themselves. naming money so that we can exchange it. Say that I walk up to you and ask for 10 units of money. You will find me peculiar and ask what kind of money I mean, what currency. What you then is asking me for is the name of the money I have in mind. Once I have stated the name of the money I mean, you will be able to make your consideration about my offer. But without me stating the name of the money, our exchange will not be able to go on. All kinds of money, each has a name. And it is through us giving money a name that we can agree upon its validity. You and I can agree that money A is valid and therefore exchange it with one another. But without that name, A, the money cannot be put to any real use. Further then, say that I walk up to you and ask for 10 units of money A, but you say that you only have money B. Then our exchange can also no longer go on, since you do not have that particular kind of money I am looking for. So, through us giving money a name, we not only make it possible to exchange it in reality, we also make it possible to name more than only one kind of money. We can then name many different kinds of money, A, B, C, and so on. We pause and find as our second criteria for what money is, that money is how we give multiple different names to what is abstract, and in so doing, makes it possible to exchange it in reality. Money is how we give names to what is complex or ambiguous. Money is how we give names to our debate or to our differences in perspective. Binding money to a physical infrastructure so that we can hold it. Say that we now have agreed upon a certain quantity of money of a certain name. For example, 10 units of money A. We still have the problem of how we will hold on to it. How do we hold on to something that is abstract over a sustained period of time? Inevitably, we need to bind the money to something physical. Throughout history, money has been tied to many different physical things, many different kinds of physical infrastructure. We all know that money for thousands of years has been tied to precious metals and then coins. Later in time, money was tied to bills and papers, so that we wrote down the quantity and name of the money on the given piece of paper. As we get closer to our modern day times, we also start binding money to computer hardware. We are now used to that we hold on to our money tied to computer storage via the connection of what we call the internet. When making our financial decisions, we most often look at some sort of screen, which in turn is connected to the internet, which then in its turn is connected to physical computer hardware. We pause and find as our third criteria for what money is that it is how we bind what is abstract to some physical infrastructure. Money is how we physically bind what is complex or ambiguous. Money is how we physically bind our debate or our differences in perspective. Framing money in words and symbols so that we can negotiate it. Now we have successfully quantified, named, and stored money. With these three criteria, it effectively functions as an everyday means of exchange. From this point onwards, our social nature sees both opportunities for cooperation as well as opportunities for deception. We begin to negotiate with one another. Say that we negotiate the example we have been building thus far in our reasoning. 10 units of money A stored on computer hardware. I will try to negotiate to my favor and you to your favor. Both of us make our best case through the use of words and symbols. We frame our negotiation in a cloak of context. I might say that the 10 units of money A is quite a bargain. Bargain being a nice sounding word. But you might counter that the 10 units of money A is not a bargain at all, but rather expensive. Expensive being a skeptical sounding word in our given example. Like this, we go back and forth in our contradictory framings of the money at hand. We may also create whole aesthetics surrounding our money, connecting money to art and desire, appealing to all 5 of our senses. We make use of symbols that appeal to our emotions. At this point of our reasoning, we think of advertising and sales expertise. We sell the money in itself through our way of framing it in symbols and aesthetics. We pause and find as our 4th criteria for what money is that it is how we frame what is abstract in words and symbols. Money is how we frame what is complex or ambiguous. Money is how we frame our debate or our differences in perspective. An initial pausing definition of money. When we combine our 4 criteria for what money is by pausing, we arrive at the following. We pause and find that money is how we quantify, name, physically bind, and finally frame what is abstract. By doing this, We may take what is abstract and assign it a number, quantify it, exchange it with one another, name it, hold it over a sustained period of time, physically bind it, and negotiate it for cooperation or deception, frame it. We may thus also define money as: money is how we assign a number to, exchange with one another, hold over a sustained period of time, and negotiate for cooperation or deception what is abstract. Money is how we appropriate what is complex. Money is how we try to take control over what is ambiguous. Money is how we try to put an end to our debate. Money is how we close our differences in perspective in the form of something seemingly factual and seemingly objectively true. Our initial pausing definition of money rests on the assumption that money is neither an apple nor a car. We pause and carry this initial definition with us throughout this book.